What's up guys, this is Kazi here from cleverprogrammer.com.
And this is Aaron from cleverprogrammer.com.
We're going to be your instructors for this HTML5 crash course for beginners. So if you're a complete beginner, you are in the right place. We're not going to go into the theory, we're going to just jump right into it. In this HTML crash course, we're going to go through all of the basics and we're going to go through fast. You know how we do it here. We get dirty, we get down into it, and we just start coding things up. And you're not gonna listen to a bunch of boring fluff here. That's not what this channel is about. So we're gonna get into it really fast. Now, we're gonna be covering how unordered lists work, order lists work, what the hell are header tags, how do you actually use tags, and how do you create a basic looking web page. That's what you're gonna get out of it. It's gonna be awesome. And before we get into it, I do wanna say that my team and I have put together a pretty amazing 1-hour training for you that's absolutely free if you want to become a web developer or a freelance developer. Now this training is called Top 3 Secrets to Become a Python Freelancer, but it will work perfectly well for you even if you're not a Python freelancer and you wanna become a freelancer as a web developer, okay? It has the main principles that you need and it's unbelievable content, and we have made it free for a limited amount of time. So go ahead and click that link. Make sure you sign up for a seat in the webinar and then show up with your notepad or something, because it's gonna be really valuable information. With that said, let's jump right into this tutorial. First things first, there are multiple text editors that you can use. The one that we recommend is free and it's also one of the best. So Visual Studio Code. Yeah. Go ahead and download this, whichever version you're on. I'm on a Mac, so I'm gonna just download the Mac version. And then as soon as you're done downloading it, just open it up, install it, and then open up a new file in it. Okay, once you open up a new file, your screen should look like this. We're gonna create a new folder on our desktop. I'm gonna call it HTML Crash Course. And then inside of this folder, we're gonna open this folder from our Visual Studio Code, okay? So I'll go click here, open, and we're gonna just select this folder and go ahead and open it. Let's create a new file. Okay, so let's go back to our Visual Studio Code and we are going to create a new file. I'm gonna hit this and we'll call it index.html. Now remember, this is important. If your cursor doesn't look like mine, don't worry about that. Yours will just look like this, how it's supposed to. I'm using something called Vim for more advanced users, but again, this is for complete beginners, so we want you to be able to follow along. Now, I'm just gonna hit save, and I'm gonna show you that this file that I just made is actually, this file that I just made is gonna be right over here on your computer now, okay? It should look empty, all right? Now, if I type in things here, and save them, and then I open this up, and if I open this file, you should see hello things here, okay? Now there are different browsers that you could use. You could use Internet Explorer, you could use Mozilla Firefox, you could use what else? Chrome. Ding. But you know, probably don't use Internet Explorer. It's not gonna be good for you.
Unless you want a challenge, a real challenge.
Right. So try to stick with using Chrome, because this is gonna be the best for you and the easiest way to go. Now, because that's my default browser, that's why this index.html file turns into this. The extension is very important. If you're on Windows or in some other computer and it turns it into .txt at the end, or make sure that you change it to .html, okay? And if you double click it or you open it from your Chrome and it looks like this, then you're good. Okay, so I hope that you're following along so far. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do that so I have more space on the left-hand side to code. I'll also open up this file on the right-hand side so that you can see it. So I'll put this here. Okay, let's go right here. All right, so now if I type in things like, you know, headings in, if you ever go to a website and you see things in big giant letters, what they're using is something called header tags, okay? If I go to, for example, give me a website.
That's the right one. Wikipedia, that's a good one.
Okay, so let's go to Wikipedia. All right, Wikipedia. And let's type in programming.
Boom.
Whoops, I misspoke.
Oh, put in HTML. There you go.
Programming. Okay. So if we look at the structure of how this page is set up, mostly it's through HTML. There's very little CSS actually used here. And in this video, we're not going to be using CSS, so things are going to look ugly. Things are going to kind of look like Wikipedia.
Craigslist.
Yeah, or Craigslist.
Kind of things.
So let's go here, and if I hit inspect, right, what I'll find out here is that this says H1. So this is actually a heading tag, okay? So going back to my code, if I actually do H1, hit tab and do programming language, refresh here, these are the heading tags. This is why theirs is big too. Cool? So let's go ahead and remove this. Now we need to give our page a structure. The first thing you always want to do in your HTML page, the reason why I'm just jumping in right away is so there's not so much theory you got to get through. We'll explain the theory to you as we go through each step, not necessarily just in the start. So one thing you want to do is you want to do doc type HTML. For HTML5, this is something you always have to do to make sure that your document is interpreted correctly from the browser. Okay, so I'm using Chrome, and this will make sure that it's doing it correctly. Then other tags that we actually need are things like a head tag, okay, and a body tag. All the code you generally write goes in your body tag like this. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then if you have things like title, which is over here, where if you see it says index.html, well, I can change that to Kazi's website like this and hit.
Body's supposed to be outside of head.
No.
Maybe like your header.
Header I see
and
what
body,
you're saying.
right?
Yeah, I think I'm thinking of there's head, body, and then what's the other one that covers everything?
Footer. Container, div, HTML.
Oh no, body contains everything. Body contains everything. Body is outside of head, and it also
Header,
contains
body,
most.
Footer, right?
Header, body, footer. Okay. Let me redo that. Okay. Good catch. Good catch.
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. So the first thing you need in your code. So we had
HTML tags first of all, right?
Yeah. So now let's go here and let's remove everything from our page. I'm gonna save, and I'm gonna go here and refresh. Okay, so I'm doing Command S to save and then Command R to refresh. On Windows, it's going to be Control S and then Control R. First thing we need is we're going to create a head tag, and then inside of head, we have things like title. Mm-hmm. So if I go coding website, or if I do my coding website, save it, refresh, you see the title at the top change.
Yeah, on the tab.
On the tab,
yeah,
exactly.
That's the name of the web page, kind of, pretty much. Or the title of the web page, I guess, as it's called in HTML.
Yep. So we've changed the title. Now, another thing we need is body tag. And inside of body tag is where we write most of the code. So now we can put that programming language thing we had earlier in here. If I hit refresh, you see programming language shows up. And all the tags are similar to this, right? So for example, if I change this to H4, H5, H6, header tags go all the way to header 6, and header 1 is the one with the biggest one, and then header 6 is the tiniest one, right? So let's go ahead and do that here.
Ooh, magic.
Yeah. Okay, so we have, it's almost like this is the most popular programming language all the way to the least popular, the tiniest. Yeah. So this is how header tags work. Now, there's something called comments in HTML. Comments are, first of all, HTML is not a programming language. It's a markup language. But every programming language, or most languages in general, have this ability to write comments. Comments are not for the computer to interpret, they're for the human to read. So we can add comments by doing this, and I can say header tags. Okay. If I go in here and refresh, it doesn't change anything on the page, but it definitely puts them here. All right. Now I can show you paragraph tags. Okay. They're also known as P tags. And what they allow you to do is just write stuff. So let's say I wanted to write things, right? And I wanted to break them apart. Well, how would I do it? Let's say I write Aaron, then I write Kazi, and if I hit save and I go here and look, it's in the same line.
Yeah, it's just like chunking them together.
Exactly, and that's not what we want. We want them to be separate into new
just
lines.
Just like on Wikipedia, right?
Yep. Yeah, so Wikipedia, if we go here and if I full screen this page, you can see that there's a paragraph here and then there's a new paragraph here. So what is actually happening? Can I hit inspect and dig deep into it? Well, what you see here is there's something they're using called the P. So if I hit this button over here, the inspect element, if I hover over this, this says, you see that little P in purple? I can't move my mouse over to that, but I hope you see where it says color, font, margin. You see it?
Yeah, the stuff. Oh yeah, the little box up there that popped up.
Right, the box that popped up right underneath where it says article and talk. Well, that P means that this is a P tag. If I hover here, you see the P show up again? So that's the P tag. Okay, now let's go back to our code and put P tags around this. Okay, so let's go P tag like this. And then do this, copy, and I'll do Kazi, and then I'll delete this. And if I go here and refresh, you can see that now it's separated them out into actually two separate lines.
Two separate paragraphs, yeah.
Yeah, two separate paragraphs. And if we had like, Aaron is an epic developer, right?
Sometimes.
Fire emoji. You don't need to do the fire emoji, but I'm just adding that in. And then we can say Kazi is a better developer.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Add sometimes to the end of both of these, okay?
Sometimes, right? Okay. And you can see that we have different paragraphs. Now, you can also do lorem and hit autocomplete, and it basically creates this lorem ipsum, which just means dummy text, okay? It's a fancy, weird way of saying just dummy text. So most text editors probably have this capability, so if you do lorem and you hit tab, it'll autocomplete it. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we put P tags around it. Whoops. P tags, and then I'll do lorem, hit tab. Now you hit tab to autocomplete. So when you type stuff, it allows you to autocomplete it, right? So if I do P, I can actually just hit tab here and it'll autocomplete it. I can do H1 and I can hit tab and it'll autocomplete it.
That's why we chose VS Code.
And most editors allow you to do that, but yeah.
Oh yeah, the lorem ipsum too, though.
Oh
it's
yeah.
Easier. You can do lorem tab.
So if I do refresh, it said translate because it detected this to be like Latin, because it's Latin.
Because it is Latin.
Yeah. So there we have our lorem ipsum. Now, what are some other things that are really useful that we need to know in HTML? Well, some other common things you need to be able to do is, one, you want to be able to, let's say you're making a video hosting blog post, right? You want to be able to host videos? Well, you can do that with HTML. It's pretty cool. So for example, let's go to youtube.com, type in clever programmer Python, all right? So let's take a video. So let's take this giant crash course video we have. Okay, so let's take this video. All right, so let's now go to share. So I'll click share right over here. And inside of share, click embed on a YouTube video, copy this code, all right? You can also hit the button copy here. And now just get out of here. You don't need to be here anymore, okay? And you can paste this code, all right? Now if I refresh, you'll see that that video is actually embedded into your website. Now in this tutorial, we're not gonna be teaching you how to host this website online yet, but we wanna show you how to make a useful HTML website that people could actually use and that you would even wanna use. So now this is using something called the iframe tag here, right? And some of the things that you might be seeing here is like, oh, width and height, what's going on here? Well, we're gonna talk about that in a second. We're building up to it. All right, so we've covered P tags. We've covered that when you start a tag, you gotta end a tag. So H1, when you start it, you gotta end it. You start it here, H2, you gotta end it. P tag, you start it, you gotta end it. The /P part is the part that allows you to end it.
Yeah, it's like an ending tag.
Exactly.
Starting tag and ending tag.
Yep.
For most tags.
Now, when you see code too, right, what you should try to do oftentimes is play with it, mess it up, see what happens. So, for example, if I go again to YouTube that video, right, you can actually change code on the fly, right? And now what I can do is, let's say I do hit inspect element, and I highlight it and I hit inspect element, right over here. And I can click into it. It says Python full course for beginners, and I can say JavaScript crash course by Aaron.
Oh, wait, what?
Right? And all of a sudden it's changed. I can go here and I can hit inspect, and over here where it says 18,000 views, I can say put
10 billion.
Right, so 2,387,000 views on this video. And I can also go click here and I can change this to
1.5 billion likes.
All right. So great job on the JavaScript crash course.
Hell yeah.
Right?
Just teleport to the future, you guys.
Yeah, so you killed it. Make sure you don't forget that. So there you have it, right? You can go and play with HTML code already. You can go and play with it on the websites, you know, do funny jokes with your friends. I mean, there's a lot that you can do with HTML. I'm just gonna zoom out here a little bit so we have more space, and then I'll zoom in here, zoom out here. Okay, great. Now let's go back. Okay, so this shows you that you can play with HTML code. Now it won't stay there. If I refresh this page, it's gonna go away. It's just temporary. It's only on your computer. But it's still really important to be able to practice and play like that, because when you practice, that's how you improve. You wanna be able to tinker these things and change them, and then you keep improving your skill set that way. All right, let's continue. So if you see this width, try changing it and do 300 and come here and refresh and see what happens. Oh, it changed, right? Let's go here and change the height and go here and refresh. Oh, now the height is bigger. And this is how you're gonna get a lot better, by constantly practicing it, right? This one video or one crash course you see from somebody is not gonna change everything, but if you keep practicing it, that's how you'll improve. Okay, let's add more things to this. Let's add, maybe, what should we do? Should we add images?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we skipped images and went straight to videos, but...
Right, we went more advanced. Yeah. So let's add images, right? So let's
this
go.
This will be easy since it's even simpler than videos.
I like a chessboard, so chessboard. I'll type that in. Let's go to images.
Nice.
And we'll find some image here.
Wizard's chess.
Which one should we pick?
That one, done.
This one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'll right click here and I'll say copy image address. So if I open a new tab and I hit, it should get this image.
The image is hosted at that URL.
Yep. So now I'll go here, I'll type in IMG and I'll hit tab and it'll auto-complete it, okay? So in here, now there's this thing called source. Source is asking, what's the source? Is it local or is it online? Well, we're not gonna host this locally, we're gonna pull it from online. Because most of the times I'm pulling stuff from online, right? And most people are, makes your life easier. And I'm just gonna hit paste on that link that I had found, though this link might actually not work because
it's looking kind of funky.
Yeah, it doesn't actually look like a doesn't look like a URL, does it?
How long is
Jesus.
I think you copied the wrong thing, man.
I did? Nope, it's showing.
Huh.
So I'm fine. Jesus Christ.
And there's 3 dots at the end, so it keeps going. Is this the right?
Okay, so what we can
image.
get is we can say copy link address maybe. But then that doesn't get us what we want.
Open image.
So I'm fine. So if you do this, there you go. You can get an image like this, okay?
Apparently, some convoluted URL.
What would be the better way to get it? Copy image address. That's what we did, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this is a better link, right? By clicking into it.
JPEG.
So what I can do is I can do image and then paste it, and now you have a more normal URL. If that URL freaks you.
Yeah, it was like data colon or something.
So there you go. You have the image, okay? And now to play around with this image, well, you can actually have, there are these attributes you can have in images, okay? So you can pass, inside of HTML tag, you can also pass it attributes. So here we'll pass it for alt. Well, alt is mostly useful for, one, the computers and the crawlers. For example, if the computer comes here and it doesn't know what the image is, having an alternative description will tell the computer what it actually is. And another thing is useful for, I don't know if you know this, is useful for if there's somebody who's blind and they're on your website. Yeah.
Blind?
Yeah, you know a lot of blind people actually use websites and use computers. I had a friend, yeah, I had a friend who was blind and he had a laptop and he would open it up and he would go through his search directory, he would search up stuff. He would know when the internet is down.
Really? Like, are you messing with me?
No, seriously, he had a contact book, everything.
Like, does it read it out to you, like verbally or something?
No, they Braille.
Oh, but we don't have Braille here.
Well, blind people know how to read Braille. Their computer is like a Braille tool as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah. So there you go. That's why you need alternative description. Now, other tags you can add is definitely width and height. So let's say width, we make the width 400. And if I go here, well, you can see the board size just changed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we can make the height of it, 300. It might actually be around that. So there, it made the height a little bit.
Yeah, and it kind of skewed and warped the image a little bit.
Yep. So this is how you make images, right? So I'll put image tag, because images are useful. Now, some other things you can do that are useful is, what if you need to make something a link? So if it says Aaron and if it says Kazi, well, what if it linked to Aaron's Instagram profile or Kazi's Instagram profile? So let's go here and let's go instagram.com/cleverkazi. And if we actually go here, this is my Instagram, correct? So now I'm gonna grab this URL, copy it, X out of this, and what I'll do is I'll put Kazi inside of something called an A tag, okay? So I'll try it here, and I'll do A and hit tab, it'll auto-complete it. It's asking for a link, so I'll link it to instagram.com/cleverkazi. Then I'll put the text here that says, so first of all, watch what happens, right? If I hit save and I go to the website, okay, I'm just gonna delete the lorem ipsum because it's getting annoying. It keeps asking about the translation. There we go. So I'm gonna go here. Now, can you find on the screen where it's showing the link?
No.
No.
You can't.
Well, the reason why it's not showing is because you have to add text here.
Yeah, that's the text that actually displays.
Displays, exactly, it displays. So now when we add the text, I'll say Kazi's profile, save, and hit refresh. Well, you have Kazi's profile. Now, if I click this, it'll actually take me to it.
Yeah, to the URL that we put in the href, which is just a reference. It's like, where is this text going to refer to?
Yep. Now, what if we don't want the people who are on our website to leave from our website? Instead, we want them to open up a new tab. Okay, well, we do something we pass in an attribute called target, and we say, go to blank, all right? Which it's kind of a weird way of doing this. It should be something like target new tab instead of _blank, but you'll see what it does. If I hit it, now I open up a new tab rather than rather than it going to a completely new website. Okay? Okay, now what if I want to make this Kazi a link, which is inside of a p tag? Well, you can do that. You can nest tags however deeply you want. So I can actually go a tag here. I can say href equals, and I can do the same Instagram link, right? I can go like this, and then in between here, I can put Kazi. Where did we go? There. All right. So watch what happens now. When I refresh, Kazi is now a link. If I click it, it opens the Instagram profile. All right. And I can do the same thing. I can add that.
Target.
Yep.
New tab.
Target statement like that. Oops. Done. If I go refresh, now if I hit Kazi, it'll open up a new tab rather than redirecting the website, and I can remove this now where it said Kazi's profile. Okay, so we can do header tags, we can do paragraph tags, we can do images. You just learned how to actually embed a YouTube video. What else can we do with HTML?
There's a lot. You can create tables. You want to do that next? Or lists, actually. Let's do lists.
Yeah, we can do so we can create lots of other things. Like for example, let's say we wanted to have a list of programming languages. Okay, so first there's something called unordered list, and then there's something called ordered list. Let's start with unordered lists. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna say UL, and then inside of this UL tag we want to do a list item like this, and I will say JavaScript, and we will say Python
JavaScript,
and then we'll say Java and then PHP or something, right? And if I hit refresh, you'll see we have an unordered list at the bottom, which is actually pretty difficult to see. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna add in a bunch of gibberish at the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna create a p tag, and then I'm gonna say gibberish, ignore, and then I'm just gonna keep pasting it.
You could put a bunch of line breaks maybe. Or just empty p tags actually.
Okay, hold on. Okay, cool. So I wrote gibberish, and I'm gonna put a HR to basically separate the garbage at the bottom. Okay, you can use HR for, you know, if you're trying to fire somebody from Facebook. Just kidding.
Oh,
damn. You can use HR for, man, that's a mean one, huh?
Yeah, like what's next? It's not gonna say it.
So again, you can use HR for just this horizontal row that you can add. But we have the unordered list, and you can see them clearly like so. All right, now we're gonna create an ordered list. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste it here. I'm gonna change this O to a U. I mean U to an O. So now it's an ordered list. Like that. And if I hit refresh, you'll see now that it has an order of the languages. Now the correct order would be this. And you have each of the items in a list. You have them in an ordered list. Now, a lot of people who are Python developers on this channel, the reason why learning HTML could be useful for you and important for you is a lot of web scraping that you do. You need to know how HTML works. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in so you guys can see everything a lot more clearly. So when you're doing development and you're trying to do a lot of web scraping, well, you need to know how the HTML pages are structured, how they work, in order for you to actually do web scraping. Otherwise, it's gonna be really hard. And literally everything on the internet uses HTML.
Literally.
Yeah.
Except for that data colon thing. I don't know what the hell that was. Data colon image. Like, what?
Yeah, what was that?
That was probably just, I don't know, some API. Unrelated.
Let's just never talk about that one again. Yeah. So we have order lists, we have unordered lists, and this is important for, obvious reasons. And it does a lot of the logic automatically. Okay, again, we're not doing any styling right now. Mm-hmm. Okay. Other things that are important to learn about are, well, if you wanted to have if somebody could put in their phone number on your website or their email on your website or their name on your website, or maybe what item, you wanted to take a quiz maybe, how do you actually ask for those inputs? Yeah. Okay. So when you have a form on a page, where does the form take you? That's the action. For example, if you go on facebook.com and you hit login, you hit that submit button, well, it takes you to the Facebook homepage, correct? Mm-hmm. That's the action. So action is, for example, facebook.com, all right? Or that's the action. And when you have something like an index.html or on your local website, if you actually write this basically means like a slash. I'm gonna write this in comments. Like a slash, it means facebook.com, for example. And like a slash about would mean that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Wait, about means facebook.com/about. Okay, because you had
slash about.
Got it.
I mean, I know it's a little convoluted how it's written, but so here, if you wrote slash, that would be the equivalent of the action being facebook.com. Mm-hmm. or yourwebsite.com. Mm-hmm. Okay, then we have something called method. And method, well, what that means is you can either have a get method or a post method. So an example is when you go on Facebook and you put in your login information, you hit that submit button, well, what request is it sending? What's the method that it's using there?
Post.
Yes. So it's using it.
Sorry, it took me a second.
So it's really early here, guys. It's 8 a.m. now. We've been going since 6 a.m. So 8 a.m. So that's what's happening, right? This is the post method. When you are trying to get some information, to retrieve some kind of information, for example, when you go to your best friend's homepage wall and you type in their name and you go there and it shows you their latest photos, their latest posts, what method is that?
Get.
That's the get method.
I was faster that time.
So when you're getting stuff, you're using the get method. When you update your post, that's going to be the update method, and when you delete your post, that's the obviously delete method. But here we're just going to do get method. Now, but this is all for server side. For HTML, the method is not gonna be making that much difference right now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put in an input. And this input can have a type of text. And we'll give it a name. This is for server side, that's more important. So we're gonna say name. We can actually just say name here like this. Let's go here and refresh. So you see that there's something here.
An input.
Okay, now there are different ways to go about how you can actually use labels. So I wanted to bring this up for some people who are maybe a little bit more advanced. I generally like to use this way whenever I can. But again, don't read too much into what's happening here. It might be too advanced for most people, most beginners. You don't have to worry about it, but you can just focus on understanding the idea of it, okay? And Stack Overflow is one of the most common places you gotta get used to, so it's better if you take your fear out of using it at an earlier stage. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna use this type of thing, right? So I'm gonna copy this and we can paste it here. And we'll delete what we had earlier. And I'll format this and let's get out of here. Okay. So what you want to do here is I'll refresh. Okay. Now ID, I don't want you to worry about the ID. You can just remove that and hit refresh. So whatever your input is, the input is going to go here. And this is the title. So if you want people to write in their name, well, this is where you got to write it. So that's going to be the label. Okay, you can call this whatever you want. You can call this name, sure. Here again, you can call it whatever you want, but we can call it name. This is going to be useful for the server side, not necessarily the HTML side. Okay, so we have something we can do something with, right? But we can't do it any further because, like you can see, it just broke my computer. It did something weird. So I can't actually submit this anywhere yet. I can't, it's not a form yet. So what we want to do is add in maybe a few more things. For example, you can have a name. Well, what other things do people put in?
Age,
email,
gender, whatever, phone
right.
numbers.
So let's go and put
Anything you can think of.
an email. Okay. I'll go email like this, and we'll put in this. And for type, we're actually going to change it to email. Now, if I hit refresh, you'll see there's email here, and we got that. Another thing we want to do is let's use div tags because these are pretty important, and let's start putting things into divs, because what you'll see is they'll like start organizing them in a nicer way. So we'll put that one into div, and then we'll do the same thing here. If I refresh, okay, there. So I have name, I have email, and I have them formatted in a correct way, and they're under the form tag. So that's the important part. The reason why we created a type called email is it's built into HTML, and this adds in email validation. So if you're typing in stuff and you're not typing in the correct email, it'll eventually tell you, and it'll give you an error if you type in the wrong emails. It won't let you submit the form. And then last thing we need is a submit button. All right, so we can have just any kind of button, or we can, let's go like this. We can do input, and do submit, and we do label. Okay, so we can just have a regular input with the type submit, and that by default shows the text of it being submit. Right, and you can change what it says in the button by changing the value over here. So you can change the value to click me if you want. If I go here, it'll say click me, and I can click it. Okay, so there you go. You can type in stuff here, you can do this, and then you can say click me. And as you can see, the email one complains that it's not a proper email. So now if I do Kazi right? Now it didn't complain. It actually allowed me to click it. And in the URL, you can see that it's passing in the argument name.
FFRR, which you typed in, and the email is Kazi Club.
Yep. And it's taking me to my home page because of this action that I have here. So it's taking me to some weird page. Let's refresh. Right, if I don't do anything, if I just do this at gmail.com and I hit refresh, it'll just bring me back here. So you can also just leave it blank as well. So these are my forms. Okay. What are other useful things for us to be able to use? Well, there are a few things that we can also add to forms. We can add things that allow us to select, right? And we can also add things that allow us to create tables, okay? So let's go ahead and create a table. And table needs two things. It needs a head, so we're gonna leave that here, and then it needs a table body. So inside the table head, we're gonna create a row, and inside of that row, we're gonna create a cell, and this, we're gonna call it we can call it, what should we call it?
It should be TH, right? Title header, not TD.
Oh yeah, you're right. So TH, what should we call it?
Let's just put age or name, email, age.
Name, email, age.
Yep.
And boom, look at this. It shows up right over here. Cool?
Cool.
Now let's add in the body. So we'll have a row, and then we'll do table cell.
Yeah, table data.
Table data.
Yeah. So we're defining a table row, that's TR, and then within that row we're gonna have table data over and over. Each of those is like one of the elements. So
yeah.
It's kind of like the columns, but you define it by row, not by column. So you say in the row, this is all the data, one by one.
We'll have Aaron. We'll have Aaron at aaron.com. And then we'll have...
Please don't email me.
We'll have age is 24. So there you go. Doesn't look like a useful table. Generally, you're not writing many tables directly in HTML. If you are creating tables, you're going to be using some kind of themes like CSS style sheets. Yeah, you're not openly writing tables right in here like this. But this is how you would do it. And just to give you an idea how you can add more cells, is you can just keep doing this table row.
You just add more and more rows for each different row in the table.
Right, and then it'll just keep adding it over and over again. So I can change this to 20 Kazi. Well, that's not true. 25
Kazi at aaron.com.
There we go.
Email him.
So I got my age, I got my name, I got my email, and this is how you create a table. All right, this is the important thing that you have to understand behind how you create tables, though you're not spending a lot of time creating tables. Okay, so create it just if you have to use it for basic use cases, just because you're doing some dummy testing, but don't actually create it in like full-on projects because it doesn't look that beautiful. Now, I want to show you some important things that people don't show is the Googling skills required to be able to do stuff. this is going to be very common. So how do you create a drop down in HTML, right? So if I do drop down in HTML, well, how do I do that? Luckily, W3 School is going to come up a lot in your journey. And this is something you got to get used to. And inside of here, it talks about, well, if you write this code, it'll create a drop down. Try it yourself. So I'm going to copy this. And I'm just going to go ahead and paste it inside of that form that we actually created earlier. And let's go here and hit refresh. And now you'll see that, and I'll make sure I'll put everything in its own div. So I'll wrap it up in a div like this. Ooh. So I'll make sure I wrap it up in a div. I'll hit refresh, and now I can see my name, email, and also my form requires me to put whether I'm putting Volvo or Saab or Mercedes or Audi. Right, and then I can hit click me, and then it'll like pass in all of those values, and I can see some of them, right? For example, name, FEF, email, Kazi at whatever. Cool. So you can actually put that inside of your form. So this is how you will add in drop down into your code. So W3 and these things are going to be common. Learn how to use them. This is how you're going to actually write a lot of your code and figure out a lot of problems by yourself. Okay. So this is pretty good. What else do we need? I was looking at that. Okay, another thing that we can add in our form that I want to show you guys that could be important is maybe say you're making a website where somebody could have a contact you form. So you want them to put their name, you want them to put their email, you want them to put their choice of their car, but you also want them to send you a message.
Okay.
Right? Like what their message should be. So we don't want it to just be like a text field, because that's kind of annoying for somebody to write a full message in a text, like a field like this. So what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna create a new thing, and first of all, I'm gonna create a div, and I'm gonna put it inside of here, and it's called text area. So you want to put it in the text area. Okay, so I did text area, I hit tab, and it auto completed it with a lot of these defaults. We'll say the name is message, the ID is message, and ID right now for this tutorial doesn't matter at all. Let's hit refresh, and let's go here, and now you can see message is a box like this. So I can change it by doing, instead of having it at 30, I can say 10 and hit refresh. Well, it'll change the size of it. So the default is good. Now the cool thing about message is they can drag it up and down. They can write a lot in it. Yeah. So that's what's great about it. Okay guys, that's it for now. We have to go to the gym. This has been your instructor, Rafik Hazi and
Aaron Bernath.
We love your face, and we're gonna pick back up from here in part 2. Peace. Okay guys, welcome back. We are here for part 2 as your instructors for this HTML crash course. Damn, I like that. We were in sync right there. All right, let's go. So a few things. What we want to do is we want to make sure is, first of all, just add in an HTML tag here because we forgot to add it last video. So
Yeah,
have
no big deal.
Yeah, it's really not. It's still working. Okay, and then make sure you grab everything and you indent it inside. All right.
Just wrap everything in one big mega HTML.
So everything should be inside of the HTML tag. That's the proper.
Yeah.
I don't know why I put air quotations. It is the proper way to do it. So
good practice.
So do that. Now, what I want to show you guys is how do you link back and forth between like files. So say you had another file locally. Well, how would you link
between that. So let's create a new file. Okay.
A new HTML file.
Yep. So I'm gonna go here.
Another web page.
I'm gonna go new file like that, and we'll call it YouTube. Oh, whoops. Let's hit save on it. Command S, and I'm saving it in my HTML crash course page, and I'm gonna call it YouTube.html like that. All right. So it should have this HTML symbol next to it. Maybe yours might not, but should have that extension at least. Now, if you click here and you go here, you should have YouTube HTML like that. All right, now depending on what text editor you are on, if you type in HTML and hit autocomplete, it'll autocomplete it to a bunch of things, but on VS Code it won't. So on VS Code, you'll have to type doc, hit tab, and it'll autocomplete it to this. So a few of these things is just good practice to have, how VS Code has it, so you can kind of leave that without worrying about what it does too much. Okay, but if we look at, for example, this meta tag here, this makes it easier for mobile devices. This adds UTF-8, which again, if you're just learning about HTML, you probably don't have to worry that much about what this is. This part over here, document, well, this is my YouTube site. Okay. Now, let's open this up in Chrome. Desktop, HTML crash course, YouTube.html. And something you can't see probably, so I'll close out of other tabs, is it says my YouTube site here at the top. Now what I want to do is just add some things here like my YouTube site and hit refresh, and now this is here. Okay, what I want to do is I want this file, index.html file, to link to the YouTube.html file. And I also want the YouTube.html file to link back to the index.html file.
Yeah, so you don't get stuck in a dead end. You want to be able to like navigate between the two web pages.
Yep, exactly. So we'll say I'm going to create a link. So here I want you to pause and think about how you would do it. Solve this problem before actually continuing the video. Now, if you have solved it, we'll give you 4 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's jump right back into it. So for href, I will just simply say index.html. Then we also want to add text. So I'll say go, or I'll just say home page. Home is fine. And if I refresh here, now home comes up. Now if I click here, it'll take me to the home page. All right. And if I go to index.html, and if I add it somewhere like here, and I add that in, right? Basically add a header tag inside of the body, and what you want to add in there are things like, your web page links, right at the top, or maybe, what else goes in the header?
I mean, theoretically in HTML, you can put anything anywhere and it'll still do something, but usually good practice is just stuff that gotta be at the top. So like maybe, like a nav bar, your logo. Some people put it in the actual head tag up there, like up there.
I mean, way up there.
It really depends, but yeah, as long as you understand the general idea of what's going on, then yeah. Like the header, just put kind of like stuff that would be at the top of the page in the header tag. So it's just kind of, when somebody comes to your HTML code, they know what the heck is going on. Like if somebody's trying to web scrape your website, just make it easier for them,
Yep. So let's go over here and we'll add in a link to the, YouTube website. So I'm going to do link. We will do youtube.html. And I'll say my YouTube site.
Boom.
Boom. So now I can navigate back and forth between the two sites that I've created. You can, this type of file path is called a relative path because they are close to each other, so that's relative. You can also do absolute paths, which is the absolute path from the start of your computer to this file, but from the root of your computer to this file, but we just want to care about the relative path generally. And using the same type of paths, you can add in images or whatnot. All right. So we got a link. We can navigate back and forth between these. Now, what else do we want to do? Well, okay. A good way to go about increasing your skills and developing projects is like look at something that you want to be able to build and then kind of model that, try to build that. So that's kind of what we're going to do here. Let's go ahead to this page, right, that we had opened earlier. And if I look at this, I want to kind of mimic this page. Basically, I want to build my own personal style YouTube. So what I want to do is I will first of all take the embed code of this. So I will say embed. I will copy. And I'm going to paste that here. All right, now when I refresh, this should be there. Perfect. Okay. Also in the header, whoops. We're going to go ahead and put the home page so we stay consistent. This, refresh. Great. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the title of this. So again, try this on your own before you follow anything that we're doing. You should always try to pause, do it on your own. Otherwise, you will not learn these things. Should put the title at the bottom, right? Just like how YouTube has it.
Yeah, underneath it. There's even like little tags above the title too. If you want to add that in, you could use the small tag. That's smart. Okay, perfect. Let's do that. So, well, another thing we want to do is we want to add these hashtags that I have in the video. Python tutorial, clever programmer, Python programming. So we'll add that in. And what we'll do to add that in is we will use something called the small tag. And I'll do clever programmer, Python programming, and hashtag tutorial, and just kind of leave it like that. Yeah.
Perfect. It's looking better, huh?
Yeah.
So now we have that. We can do probably a similar thing with views or publish. So we can say like when it was published. And I think we can also do that in small tags.
Nice. Wait, is that below or above the views on the actual YouTube?
It's below the views.
Got it. So we'll just pop the views above it.
Yeah, sure. We can pop the views above it if we want. So let's go here. We can put that in small tags as well, right? Or no?
Maybe put like header 3 or something, or header 4.
Or header 5?
Yeah, sure. This is our website. We get to decide, right?
Yeah.
Whatever we want. Boom. This is what YouTube used to look like in its first iteration. So like we're pretty like much pioneers at this point. We all are.
Right, this is looking great. So there, we have a pretty much simple version of a YouTube clone. I wonder what else we should add.
The channel name maybe? And maybe like an image of the Clever Programmer logo?
Yeah, we can add the logo, copy image address. And we can do that right next to right underneath the views, right? We can do image, and I can pop that in.
Oh, it's one of those weird links again.
Yep. Oh no, this is HTTPS. This is fairly normal, and it ends.
Yeah, but not with .jpeg or something. But it should work. Should work.
Yep. And what I want to do is I want to create a div that has both of these guys in there. The clever programmer title and the premiered, like I want it in one place. Or sorry, the clever programmer logo. And then that should be good. And I'm gonna create a p tag. I'm gonna put this image in there. And then after this image, let's just put the words clever programmer. Keep it really basic. Let's go back. And we have the clever programmer logo along with premiered. And clever programmer. Okay. So
Yeah, I mean,
something.
You're kind of limited with HTML.
Yeah.
A little bit limited.
Like I can adjust the width and the size of this. I can do width 300, and then I can do
height 300.
Ooh.
Making it 100 by 100.
Oh, let's make it 50 by 50.
Even better.
Right now,
There we go.
now it looks more like the actual logo.
And why don't we bold the channel name, because I think it's bold on the YouTube page, right?
Channel name?
Yeah, clever programmer. Is it bolded?
Okay, so yeah,
Strong tags.
we can bold it too. So let's use strong tag.
Yeah. Strong.
There.
Magic.
So strong tag, you can use that to bold things. You can use the emphasis tag to.
Yeah, I don't think there's bold tags unless there is now. But
Bold is actually not used anymore.
is it?
They try not to use it. I think it still works, but I think they don't use it anymore. Let's see. Oh, maybe they just completely
work, yeah.
bold tag HTML5, right? Deprecated. That's what I was trying to say.
B tag, not bold tag. It's just B. That's right.
B tag. Yep, it's deprecated.
Since HTML4.
Yep.
Yeah.
So remove. But another one you can use is EM. And this will italicize what you are trying to do. So let's delete this as well. All right, now if I refresh, we can link back and forth. We have an actual clone of the YouTube version, which is pretty good. And then obviously, like if you want to kind of add this in a footer, you can create a footer. And in the footer, so footer tags is generally the stuff at the bottom, the copyright stuff you'll see, or so you can say, I can say clever programmer. Make sure it's a P tag. Right, in 2019 or something like that.
There we go.
And how did they do copy?
Ampersand copy.
So like
Yep,
that.
So there's like little codes here to get things. I think if you put like TM, you can get TM2 or like all those different little symbols. Like there's something there. Just Google it. Like there's no point memorizing them all. Just Google it and then you'll find the code. Yeah. trademark, copyright. I guess you can use
Registered.
registered. Got it.
So you can also do like this, trade. Okay. And now shows up there. Like that.
Nice. Are we trademarked? Now we are.
Apparently now we are.
That's all it takes.
So there you have a basic looking website. It has most of the functionality you want it to have.
Yeah.
And we've covered a lot of things up until this point. We can show you very basic CSS, and I'll show it kind of right in here. So for example, I can go into this p tag, and remember we talked about attributes. So you can have width and height of an image, for example. We can also do style of something, and I can say text align, and I can say center. And if I go here and refresh, now you can see how it's hiding behind our video. So I'll have to move it here, and now you can actually see it. Okay, it centered it. So I'll uncenter it just so you can see it better. So that's what centering does, right? Now, if I remove that, save it, refresh. Let's try something else. Let's try style, font. So just color, and you can pick whatever color you want. Which color do you want, Aaron?
Let's go red for YouTube. Oh, or it's copyright, right?
Crimson.
All right.
So if I refresh, you can see that it's colored. Guys, this is not HTML anymore. Now we're starting to get into styling. This is the CSS part of things. So we are not going to get into the CSS any further. We just wanted to share the very basics with you. But that's actually how any website gets designed. And it goes beyond just like the most basic HTML that you see right here. Anything else we need to cover, Aaron? Or we did a pretty good job for somebody who's trying to learn for the first time?
I think we covered a decent chunk of it. Yeah, I mean, there's way more you can find, but whatever you need to do and achieve for the website, you should just Google it, because you're never gonna memorize all of it. But I mean, we've pretty much gone over all the basic ideas, the most used tags, like use your HTML tags, use the header tag, the head tag, body tag, images and iframes, all the different H1 through H6, all that stuff, div tags. These are very common, so definitely memorize those. But I mean, there's like, I don't know how many there are, but there's probably hundreds of tags out there that people design and write and whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think people get the idea.
So that's it for this video, guys. We really hope that you got something out of it. I mean, Aaron and I put a lot of work and effort into it, but what's most important for you is to get something out of it. You need to actually build something using this, and you need to build it right away, because the thing that people get stuck in, the tutorial purgatory, that often happens because people aren't taking the additional time to build things that's their own. They're only following the tutorial, and then they go, okay, I followed this tutorial, but I still don't know how to use this.
Yeah, pretty much. We've all been there.
So you get stuck, and to get unstuck, you want to build your own projects. You want to do your own things. That's how you'll get better. Now, in the description, we'll try to link the source code for you so you can have access to it whenever you want. And we really hope you enjoyed it. So if you have enjoyed this so far, and you're maybe interested in something like how can you actually freelance from coding, how can you earn an income from coding, this is something that's advanced, will take you time and skill and effort, but we've put together a pretty awesome training. So hour plus training. It's Aaron, me, and our other team member Frankie, and we have taken kind of the best tools and skills you actually need to become a successful freelance developer and put it into this training. The catch of this training is that around after the 1 hour mark, we pitch you a paid product. So if if you enjoyed the training, you get value out of it, we pitch you a paid product, of course. That's how our team survives and we go to the next level. But the goal is that in that 1 hour, we really want to help you potentially change the trajectory of your career and give you just massive amounts of value in that time. Okay, so you really have nothing to lose. It's a recorded training. Just in the description below, click on some link and then jump into the training program, and we would love to have your face in there. That's it for me, guys. This is Kazi.
This is Aaron.
We love your face, and we'll see you in the next video.